we cannot possibly talk about football this week without talking about the allegations that Manchester City are facing from the Premier League. Over 100 alleged breaches of mainly focusing around FFP and financial dealings and things. So, Sam, what was your initial thoughts when because it pretty much came out of the blue on Monday morning?
I'm not surprised, because I think that they've been looking into it since they won the last appeal, when it was the irregularities on the Champions League, wasn't it?
The UEFA, yeah.
Yeah, UEFA. And they overcame that, which then would trigger the FA to then start their investigation. And their investigation has now come up with the fact that they think they've got enough now to charge Manchester City. So I am not surprised that the FA are doing what they're doing. And I just hope that from my point of view, Manchester City haven't done it, because there's nothing worse than the bad publicity it's going to bring to, obviously particularly Man City, but the Premier League in general. So I think that it's a great shame it pops up in the middle of a season again, and it's all headlines instead of the beauty of the game and the entertainment value that Manchester City bring us. Of course, the jealousy is unfounded, because it's always there, and of course all the others will be rubbing their hands saying, "Yeah, find them guilty." As you've read in the press now, seems like the owners or the chief execs have expressed an opinion that they want Man City kicked out of the league, which is, not the right thing to do. I don't know what the right thing to do is if they're found guilty, but I think I just hope it's not. They can prove it to be the other side and come out on top. And I've always had the people are scoffing. I've always had the opinion that if I want to invest my money, my hard-earned money in the businesses that I do, why would you restrict me?
There's definitely an interesting debate between what Manchester City have been accused of doing and the feeling around the actual rules, that the FFP rules, and whether they're fit for purpose and ever have been. But I have to say, Sam, it's really refreshing to hear you, because for me as a Manchester City fan, which everybody knows that I am, it feels like we've already been trialled in the court of public opinion.
You're never innocent until proven guilty in this country. And I can vouch for that on what I've been through. I can tell you that now. So I just think that I've always been the opinion that it never happened before until a few years ago. And football's always been unfair. From the fact that if you've got more fans, you've got more money to spend.
Yeah.
Through the gate, which is when I played. When I played, it was like the ones who had the most money was the ones who had the most fans. And they made the most money so they could invest that money into the club. And then they had a local business owner who put money into the club. And I still go back to, football is a business now. But football is only a thriving business if it allows investment. So if you can't invest in the business, you can't improve the business. And normally you go to the banks. If you're going to start your business, you do a business plan, you go to the bank looks at what you're doing, looks at your figures, says, I'll lend you this for that much interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're not the cleanest in the world, are they? We've proven over many years. So I'm an owner, I'm worth billions of pounds. What can I do with this billions of pounds? I'll buy a football club, because I like the Premier League. I like what it brings. I like the fact that I can use it for all my businesses, and I want to invest X amount of millions of pounds in it. And then all of a sudden you go, no, you can't.
Yeah.
As long as it's the right money, then I can't understand.
I agree with that.
I just can't understand it.
I totally agree with that. And you are spot on. If it's your money in your club, you should be entitled to do. But the rules are there in place. So, if you do break the rules, then there's got to be some sort of There's got to be
come back. Yes, of course. I agree with that, Rob.
And I think with Manchester City, I mean, regardless of what people think, I really enjoyed my time at Manchester. I thought it was a great club. Obviously, it's gone up in different stages now. It's totally different to what it was. I think they've had problems in the past where they've been fined. Whether it's black and white,
academy level,
and obviously they've all they've spent money on fines in various parts and obviously recommendations of what other people have spoke about Man City. You've got now people talking about the financial fair play, and the rules are in place to try and help every other club, basically, aren't they?
Yes.
And it's 100 plus breaches, and if they are deemed to be in the wrong, and it is all allegedly at the minute, then there's got to be some sort of implications.
What would be a fair implication if they are found guilty? What do you think?
Well, I mean, without sounding horribly, if you fine them, I don't think it matters because it's a club who've got untold wealth anyway. So
points deduction.
Yeah, I mean,
from this season.
Well, if they're found guilty now, yeah.
Well, I mean, this.
But it's not going to be done now, is it? It's not going to be done and dusted now.
So, I mean, we're talking about the financial fair play and the regulations up to 2018, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I can guarantee when that's finished, it'll be from 2018 to now, and then there'll be
lot.
There'll be some sort of, people will be looking into everything Man City have had over the last 4 or 5 years as well, because this equates to before that. So I think there's problems. We can obviously foresee problems. The shame about it is, I mean, I love Pep. I think he's brilliant. Now, does it tarnish his? I mean, not his ability as a manager, but the fact is that, if you're talking about clubs and you maybe getting titles, take them off them, getting trophies taken off them, does that tarnish his reputation? Does it tarnish the player's reputation who played? Mm-hmm. I mean, it shouldn't do, because obviously you're playing at that particular moment, but there should be some sort of implication, whether it's you're getting the relegation. Now, where do you get relegated to? That's a problem. Whether it's a points deduction, will that really hurt them, depending on how many? Because you think Man City could possibly go on a run and win X amount of games anyway, and still be the top team.
It's unforeseeable to think that they might end up like Rangers.
Yeah.
I know it's a different league and maybe the rules are differently, but if it's as bad as they say it is, it sounds like worse than Rangers, doesn't it? I mean, Rangers ended up down in the bottom league and had to work the bet.
Was that because Rangers actually folded though, wasn't it? So Rangers, the new Rangers is an entirely different club. So you're assuming this won't happen with Man City. Yeah. Now, are we talking liquidation? Are we talking administration? I mean, there's obviously some administration errors.
What would happen if you sat as the owner of Manchester City, who are a big conglomerate worldwide, who own several football clubs across the world? My friend Mick Bennett runs or head of the academy in Australia to find and bring and do young players. And the wealth they brought to that area, as you well know, you're a Man City fan, and the fact that they've got other clubs all over the world to develop football and invest in it. What if they go, all right, see ya?
Yeah, there is.
You know what I mean? What if they go, all right, we'll pull out then? Well, you've gone.
They're now a self-sustaining model, though. They are.
Well, that's what I mean. This summer, they made more money than they spent in transfers. You know what I mean? But I think that, like, if you upset them too much and you're tarnishing their reputation because they want to be seen as in what they're doing as the right thing, do they say, well, we don't need desegregation anymore because it's about that much in their business. In their business models and the businesses they own. So what if they said, well, we'll pull out then?